of people know that I do a lot of horse items and a lot of manufacturing of horse accessories, saddle parts, all that kind of stuff. But what you might not know is I do a ton of motorcycle vests, chaps, things like that. And I got the approval from my client to show you about vests or jackets. If you want to sew a patch on a leather motorcycle jacket or motorcycle vest, whatever, there's a couple of tips that you might want to know, or helpful, maybe. But this is how I do it. But I'll tell you and share some tips about that as well. And what I do and what I won't do. A lot of motorcycle people, depending on their groups that they ride for, they will want to stand and sew. So they will want to watch you sew on the patches and get that vest or jacket right back because of confidentiality of who they ride with. And that's up to you to make that determination if you want to do that, depending on where you are in the world and what you want to do. And I'll show you what kind of machine I use, threads I use, that kind of stuff really quick. So this is just an impromptu video and hope you enjoy it. So the motorcycle vest I'm going to be working on is actually an ex-vet military. So they are a vet and they ride with a vet association that actually volunteers a lot. So this is a really good organization. It makes me proud to help them out. But also too, on this vest, it's a brand new vest. And so you have the choice to either sew through the lining or not. So a lot of the vests, I am happy to sew through the lining, and I really struggle with having to open the whole vest up or the jacket up just to get so that the threads don't have to show through. But I get a reason why he wants to do that with this vest, because of the inside lining, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But we're going to talk about different size patches, how to adhere the patches so they don't slip and slide around, and how to, because usually there's a bunch of patches at one time. So how you can remember what goes where and how to measure as well, because you want to make sure they put on the vest while it's there. For example, you'll see this vest has an extremely large patch on the back. He has short hair, but when he puts his helmet on and what else he has on, you want to make sure that that patch is still seen while they ride. So you want to just sort of do that. So I'm gonna try to turn the camera gently, and then I'm going to show you some tricks and tips and show you the machine I use, the threads and everything like that. All right. So let's get started on this vest. Welcome. I'm actually working on a motorcycle vest right now. We're adding patches to it. The reason why I'm putting the the video on is there's some things that you want to do and you don't. So you can do that with your motorcycle vest and your jacket. So I don't only do just horse stuff. So, yay, I do all kinds of stuff. We have a whole wine series where we make wine holders and coasters, and we engrave, and we do all kinds of stuff. So great. So let me turn it. I'll try to hold this as steady as I can so you don't get sick while I'm doing it. But let's see how we do. All right. So let me go ahead and pop this off of here. So this is the vest that I am working on here. I'm going to pull it away so you can see it. So this is the large piece that I was talking about that he needs to, I've got to do this even further, right? That he wants on there. So what I did for this patch is I had to measure. So I had him put on his vest, make sure. So this is 3 inches down. So you want to make sure that your measurements, are where they want to have it. The other thing I do is, let me go ahead and see if I can show you this here, is, let me turn the camera a second, is I turn around, whoops, and I go ahead and I take photos of what he wants. Okay, so this is the back. This is so fun. You guys, I need to get one of those things that they say to, do like 360s or something like that so that I don't have to hold these things. But everything, let's see here. Okay, and then this is going to be the front. Let me fix this. There we go. And then this is going to be the front. So you want to take pictures of exactly, if you're going to do a vest, where they are, because the reason is a lot of these organizations have specific rules where they're going to put the patch. All right. So they have a reason why the patches go. They may have a placement like sergeant or whatever their placement is in that group. They may have their name on there, they may have a flag, they may have certain things. So, depending on who you sew for, and I price my patches by size and complexity. So, if you see this one here, this one is just round. Okay. So, pretty easy peasy. But what I want to make sure is that I'm not sitting there going around in all kinds of corners and shapes like that because it does get a little bit complicated. Okay, so I'm going to put this back on here again and see if I can not make you sick while I'm doing this. Okay, and let me go ahead and move this in. Like I said, this is an impromptu video, guys, and hopefully you're catching everything. So let me see here. So when I, and a couple of tricks to the trade now that I'm going to show you, okay? So this is adhered. I put this on here, okay? And the only reason I put this one on here and I'm going to leave it is because, like I said in the very beginning, I have to ask the client if they want me to sew through the lining or not, okay? Some vests will have this pocket on the bottom, and he's like, oh, well, it's got this pocket on the bottom, so you can just sew that. Well, depends on your machine if you can get up here and do that or not. A lot of the times you cannot do that. But he wants to keep this as it's nice, United States Marine Corps. So he doesn't want that damaged, so he wants it sewn underneath, okay? So he also has smaller pocket or patches for the front, and however, your pockets get in the way. So you have to also do the same thing for the top. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm unfortunately going to have to slice all this off down on the bottom, or not slice it off, but open it up on the bottom and pray that I don't slice any of this lining because the lining will fray, leather will not fray. But what I'll do is then I'll peel it up, sew it, and then I'll go ahead and sew this whole lining back down again. Okay, so that's one thing about sewing vests that you really want to pay attention to and ask them if you're going to do that. Or for if you don't have somebody like me around to sew your patches on anything, then hello, welcome. Thank you for being new. I appreciate you guys showing up. But if you don't have somebody like me in leather that can sew, then you would go to your, I know it sounds funny, but go to your dry cleaners. They always have an alteration person. And a lot of the times their machines can handle light leather, light suede, because they sometimes do fake suede or fake leather. And those needles are a lot smaller. So that's one thing that if you don't have somebody like me around, otherwise, if you want, you can ship it to us. We'll send you a prepaid shipping label, anything that you want to repair, restore, fix, custom made, or whatever. We'll send you a prepaid shipping label, and then you can ship it to us. I would ask, and this is what you should ask if you're planning on doing something like this, is to have them take pictures of it, set exactly the way they want it. Because two things: one, you won't make a mistake sewing it, but two, that's a legal documentation if they were to say that you ruined it or you did something. Because remember, when you sew leather, you got one chance because that's the holes that you're going to put in that leather and they're going to stay there. So it does two things for you to protect you. Remember, I'm all about safety, and being a criminal justice major, I'm all about documentation. So, but it's also to protect you, okay? So those two things, and it helps you to stay accurate. If you're like me, I've got so many jobs going at once that I need to have that. I need to have that photo. So for new clients, even the horse clients, I ask them, please text me a photo of what you need or photo of, um, like what you have that you might need an estimate because I don't want to make a mistake. And I do, I'm human and I am human and I do make mistakes. So that's one thing. Okay. So that's two things here. You can either sew through the lining. I prefer to sew through the lining, it just makes life easier. And it is less expensive to sew through or not sew or sew through the lining than it is for me to open it up because that takes time and I really got to go slow so I'm not ripping that lining. Okay. So that's one thing that you want to do. All right. And then we'll have the front. Again, he has several patches on the front. I think, like I showed you on that picture, wherever it went, that he has. Let's see, did he do that? Oh, no. We did it. So he's got the picture, he's got the, on the bottom, he's got a couple of them. Now, each of these are different prices. So that's a large, and that's going to be one sort of large price because I have to go through the lining. And then he's got your mediums and then your smaller ones. And then we have just a couple on the top. Now, this group isn't really super specific, and he also has some on the bottom. These are his personal ones that he wants to do. So that's just his choice of what he wants, but the group on the top, it needs to be like this. So they'll have specificities on what they want to do. All right. So let's talk about the machine. Okay. Because I had to go in here. Sorry, guys. I'm going to try to point this down here and not make you sick. So this is an old console. And this is what I use for my smaller stuff. Big Bertha does my big stuff. Okay. And those are his there. So what I do with this one here, when you're doing any kind of leather, uh, I don't care if it's your first time on one piece or if you've done it a million times and you're going to do another piece with the same leather. Oh crap! There it went rolling. Um, of course, when I wanted to knead it, it just goes. Is you want to make sure your stitchings are accurate on anything that you do because again once you put holes in leather it's very hard. Now motorcycle leather you can actually sort of rub it out a little bit but not so much. You don't want to do that. So you want to make sure your stitching and your tensions are really good. Now I have a video about machines and what kind of machine to buy for your projects of whatever you're wanting to do. This small machine is just a commercial straight stitch walking foot machine. I use a 92 polyurethane thread, and I'll tell you why. And that I will do also tell you about sewing the patches on because there's lots of different colors of patches. But the 92, and it's a polyurethane because like for example in the horse world motorcycles or riders are most of the time outside in the elements of the weather, whether it's rain, whether it's hot, whether it is dirty, whether wherever they're going. So you want a thread that's going to hold up in all those elements. So a good polyurethane thread, nylon thread will work. You would do that. A 92 gives it a good enough strength to be able to hold up. I would not use a cotton thread because it is sort of weak. There is a company out there with horse blankets that I thank them very much because it brings me business. They use a cotton thread and their stuff breaks all the time. Beautiful blankets, but they use a crappy thread. So a 92 polyurethane thread or nylon thread would really work. Again, a commercial machine, this one will do up to a 1/4 inch of leather. And what I had to do on this machine, because it's getting pretty worn out, I've used it and there's the parts are like breaking on it and they're hard to find. And if you're trying to find a FAF, they've discontinued the FAFs for certain machines and you're going to have a hard time finding parts. So you might want to stay away from FAFs for some commercial machines. But I had to pull the tension all the way out. And that is the pretty much the depth of this is what it's going to go. And so I do that. Okay. Now I'm going to use a black thread on this one. And why? because I can use on this one here, you've got this one here. And sometimes you can go through and get yourself a nice gold thread and it may match, okay? But this is from experience, guys. So when you sew through that color, your needle is slightly big. So even if you're using a gold color and it's poking through and making those stitches, it's going to separate and you're going to see black in between all that. So you want to make sure that it's a nice smooth look. So I sew just right on the edge of that so that the edge stays down, but also I'm not running through the gold and then you're going to have like little dots of black all the way through because that thread is pushing um, these threads apart on here. So you don't want to do that. Does that make sense to you guys? But you can do that like if you're personalizing some horse equipment, anything like that, or you're making something that you're putting something like this on. It's just a thought for you too, as well as when you're going to personalize something, how to sew it on. Now, what I am going to run really quick and grab because it ran away with me. Excuse my workbench. I'm working on about 4 projects at one time. Um, so what I do is I take a double-sided tape and I mark them in spots on the back. Now I don't do the whole thing, but you can. But I just want to make sure it stays in placement. So this is really great. This one here is a 1/2 inch. You can get them in different widths. I sell it on the website, theleatherladyllc.com. And I just place them on the ends. And sometimes I'll place 1, 2, 3 if they're super long and on the end, and then the same on the bottom. It doesn't show through, it doesn't harm the leather, it's just a nice sewing tape that you can use on leather. All right. So that's what I would do. And then I think I went through everything on this. Now, oh, if you're doing a jacket, okay, this is for the vest, but if you're doing a jacket, say somebody wants to put a patch on an arm or something like that, that is going to take a special machine. Okay. And it's going to take a machine that it's called a patch machine or a cobbler's machine because that needle can go in all different directions. So if you've got an arm, you have to be able to put it onto the machine. And then if you were to use my big machine, it would only sew straight. And then I couldn't sew the ends because the needle doesn't turn. So you'll need a different machine for that. So maybe you want to get into the motorcycle leather business. Let me tell you, they need people because the one shop in Salem, Oregon closed, and they're all coming to me for their vests to get sewed on. I mean, they travel. Some of them travel 6 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours to just get their patches on. So I like to tell people check with your cleaners and see if they have an alterations person that can do it to save them time and money because I'm all about saving you guys money. All right. So I hope this was a little bit helpful. Oh, no, these aren't iron-on patches. These are not. No, motorcycle people don't have iron-on patches. They need them sewn on. Being a what? You're funny. I don't know who you are. Have I been accused of being a quisling? Oh, no, what is that? You guys are funny. But it's okay. I have another YouTube channel that I don't share with you guys very much because a lot of people would think it's weird. But I am weird. So if you have any questions to this video or any videos, please don't hesitate to comment or ask. I answer all of them. And hopefully this was helpful, not only for the motorcycle, but sewing anything on that you want to personalize. And also, too, if you're trying to do this for money, you can always consult with me about starting your own leather business, or doesn't matter if it's equestrian or if it's for motorcycle, because I'm telling you, people need to have these people out there that either can fix a zipper on motorcycle vests and jackets, shaps, how to adjust their shaps, either shrink their shaps, you know, if they've lost weight, if they've gained weight, that's a little tougher. But they do need people to do this all over the United States because the leather art is dying. So if this is something you want to do, you want to take a couple classes with me or workshops to say, how do I get going with it? How do I save money? How do I not get sued? How do I have safety of all that kind of stuff? Definitely would be one. All right. So I hope you have a good day today. Please don't forget to subscribe or share the channel if you think this is good. And then also too, don't forget we do sell the tape and other things for leather supplies. We also sell saddle parts. We make our own saddle parts, saddle accessories, sheepskin, a lot of sheepskin if you're looking for that, or just leather craft kits, DIY kits and things like that to get you going in leather. We need people in leather. So if you need me as a teacher, I'd love to teach you. And online or in person, just give me a holler. All right. Take care, you guys. Again, thank you. This was a quick live video that I wanted to do. The customer said yes to do. It was okay to use his thing. And I appreciate that. I'm not going to share your name, but thank you for allowing me to do this. I appreciate it. Love you guys. See you on the next video. Take care now.